Hello, I'm a little bit late getting started because I had a false start a moment ago, but hey, if you're seeing this, then you're watching on YouTube and you really need to jump up the Discord so you can see these things live at 11 o'clock Pacific time on Saturday nights on the Discord. It's really like Sunday morning for literally everybody else in the world that's not in my exact time zone. So, yeah. That's a thing, but if you want to see these things live and like interact directly with me, which literally nobody does right now, but you could, jump up the Discord and you'll be able to get involved with this sort of thing. And right now, I am going to jump into that voice channel. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to scroll on down, grab the windowed projector. And there we go. There I am, up and kicking on the live stream. So if you're watching this on YouTube, then go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Well, there's nobody here, so of course you're watching this on YouTube. Nobody ever shows up to my fucking live streams because, you know, they're tired. They have jobs and shit. So, yeah. I don't hold it against them. That's fine. You can go ahead. But, you know, if you want to show up for the live streams, then, you know, jump up my Discord. Anyway. You undoubtedly remember this picture. You probably recall if you were here last week, which of course you were. Everybody was here last week, right? Right? So, all of these various girls, I was drawing hentai characters' hair, specifically characters from the game Princess Project, which you can buy on Steam. It's a good game. I recommend it. It was on sale when I bought it. It's not on sale anymore. Maybe you could wait for another sale. Maybe you could just buy another game from the same publisher. They have done a number of good games. So, you know, let's just kind of, woohoo, it's a good game. Go pick it up. I'm not particularly interested in anime porn as a consumer, but as a producer. And this is actually one of the things that I want to get into a little bit here later on. But first of all, I want to address something that bum number one mentioned in a comment on my last video, and I wanted to kind of go into a little more detail on this. He said that the bit Husky brush that I use is kind of rough for line work, and what he means is what the hell? Why isn't that? Is that like behind something, or why isn't it drawing? Oh, that's why. Okay, so he said that this brush is a little bit rough for line art, and it is, as you can see. It's very sort of scratchy and rough and textured, and when you make it real big, it really does like weird stuff like that. But the thing about this is, when you look at this picture, this is not the resolution that I typically work in. Okay, this is not where I typically do my artwork. Bit Husky is sort of a rough brush, but it doesn't matter at the resolution I typically work in. Here's the standard size that I use for my images that eventually turn into images that go into the game. And as you can see, the image for the game is very pixelated here. And the reason it's very pixelated here is because the image in the game is a hell of a lot smaller. When you scale down the brush strokes that I'm making in the line art, when you scale those brush strokes down, they just disappear. They're not there in the final artwork in the game. And it looks, I mean, when I'm actually like looking at the sprite, that's a sizable sprite. You can see some detail that works in game, but I'm working in a much higher resolution compared to the actual final sprite. And even when you look at the images that go into Princess Project, which are larger than the sprite I use in my game, they're still much, much smaller than the size that I'm working at. And because they're that much smaller, when you start with something large and you downscale it, then a lot of that roughness sort of disappears. But on top of that, one of the reasons I'm not too concerned about this, and I have done some looking around, I have looked at, he recommended looking at the G pen and the mapping pen. I don't really like these that much. They don't feel right to me. The movements, the way that they trail off and the way that they lead in, and kind of particularly the mapping pen, which, you see that kind of weird trail that it does? The G pen doesn't do that quite as bad. At least it looks like the trail is natural. The mapping pen in particular looks kind of weird. And I don't really like the way that those respond. So I'm not very fond of those. I'm going to stick to the Bit Husky for now, which is an India ink pen, because while it is a kind of rough pen, I like the way it responds. I like the way it behaves. I like the softness of it. I like the way I can work pretty small and then get much larger and just kind of bear down and get very bold strokes. I like the way this works, and I'm going to stick with it for a while, because primarily what I'm working with, there are a number of things you can do when you have good technique that will make your work easier and that will make your work faster. And one of those things is working in vector layers instead of raster layers, which will smooth out your lines and make your line art look a lot cleaner. They'll give you all kinds of options in terms of correcting your lines. You can see up here, I've got the ability to move control points, pinch vector lines, simplify, connect, adjust line width. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do. Let me go ahead and make a new vector layer in here. We'll just call this layer 1. And if I just jump in here, then I can come over to my brush, and it's just like working in any other layer. But when I come over to the available options, you can see that now I can grab the control points and I can move this line around. This is tremendously helpful if I've almost got the line where I want it. It's like right here, if I want this line to kind of bend outward a little, if it's almost where I want it but not quite, I could fix that. I could tweak this line and put it where I want it. If I go back to my brush, for example, and let me go ahead and delete everything on this layer. If I just make one stroke right there, and then I come over to the correct line tool, which, as you can see, I've mapped to my tablet, I can easily take this line and go, okay, let's put it exactly where I want it. I didn't make the right line here at all. So let's take that and we'll go to simplify line. Let's simplify that. And then, in fact, let's simplify this whole thing. And now that we've simplified it, we can go over here to our control points again, and you can see there are much fewer control points. I can modify that, and I can modify that, and then I can come over here to simplify again, and that should remove some of those control points. You see, I think it removed one control point in there, which is not a whole lot, but that's something. Same thing here, we can simplify that vector line. And, well, it doesn't seem to have done much of anything. But you can do all kinds of wonderful things with this. You can adjust the line width, like this one right here. I can say, well, I actually want that to be thinner right here. That doesn't seem to be working very well. Let's narrow. See, if we narrow by some large amount, then you should be able to see what it is I'm working with. Yeah, there we go. Now we're starting to see that you can thin that down, and you can get a better sort of taper on that. You just kind of work your way through, and you can go, oh no, I need to thicken it right in here. and thicken that out. Once you get it back where you want it, you can go back to narrowing. You can narrow that down and point it in, and you can do all kinds of nifty stuff with your lines this way. And if you do that sort of thing with your lines, then you can do all kinds of wonderful stuff. Once you have reached a certain level of skill, I'm not at that level of skill yet. And because I'm not at that level of skill yet, what these tools give me is they give me a wonderful little tool that I can use to cheat and not have to actually taper my brush strokes manually. That's not what I want. I got to undo. That's more what I want, but not quite. There. That's more the kind of thing I was looking for with that. But having to try over and over again and undo teaches you to more consistently get the results that you want. And that technique takes practice. And if you use a tool that means you don't need to practice, you're going to skip a whole lot of things that make you a better artist. I cannot afford to skip those things. I need to learn those things. It's going to take longer for me to get where I'm going, but once I'm there, I'm not going to smack into a wall and realize I don't have the technique to build on. I've been relying on the computer to do the work for me. Because as a software developer, I know the ability of the computer to do the work is so much more limited than you think it is. It really cannot do very much. It feels like it's doing a lot. It's not. You will rapidly outstrip the ability of the computer to help you, and once you've outstripped that ability, you have to do it all yourself. If you've been relying on the computer to do stuff for the last 3 to 6 months, the computer's not going to be able to do that stuff for you anymore. You got months of work to do before you can just catch up to where you already are. And I'm trying to avoid that because I've been there before. And it's worth noting there are a lot of humbling moments that I've been through on this channel, because once you actually like get on stream and you start doing stuff, you start saying, you know, here's how you do this and here's how you do that. It's really started to sink in just how terrible my technique is. I mean, all art is fundamentally you're taking the thing in your head and you're sending it out through your hands. You're trying to translate the knowledge through the skill and put it into the world. And if you got no knowledge, then it doesn't matter how good your skill is. You can't put anything anywhere. You know, you can only put into the world the knowledge you have that your hands can put there. I've got a lot of knowledge. I've got very, very little skill, and it keeps frustrating me because I know how to do things in my head that I don't know how to do with my hands. And because I don't know how to do them with my hands, I can't put them into the world. It's very, very frustrating. And one of the things I'm looking at here, you'll notice I have a layer that I just added called Notes. And one of the things that I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to fix this image. This image is not embarrassing, okay? I like the look of this. This is not a bad picture. I've seen worse graphics in games. I've seen much worse graphics in games. But with this in particular, there are a couple of things that I want to do. And one of them is I got to get the hair looking better. I got to get the eyes looking better. I have to do some shading on this because as it stands, you know, people have mentioned that this character doesn't really read as female. It's kind of androgynous. It doesn't look like a woman, even though, you know, we've got the swell of a breast over here. It's kind of subtle, and it looks like maybe I'm just a shitty artist. And I am a shitty artist, so that's fair. But I want to improve the shading on the clothing, because if I improve the shading on the clothing, I can do a better shading on the bust line. Better shading on the bust line will get across that it's a woman. Also, it will make this skirt look less like I just kind of slopped paint in there. Well, I did just slop paint in there, so. Also, I want a better read on the hands. I want to do a better job drawing the hands. I want more detail in there. there's all kinds of stuff that I want to add on to this. And as you saw last week, as I was going through, I was kind of sort of working on the hair and the notion of we need to figure out how hair works. And one of the problems that I am running into as I go through drawing in this style is I have not studied anime as much as I thought I had, because I've studied it as a consumer. I've studied it as somebody that watches anime. I've been watching anime for over 40 years, for God's sake. But I haven't really studied it as an artist to understand the three core principles that are necessary. What lines need to be drawn, where do they need to be drawn, and why do they need to be drawn there? I just haven't put enough thought into that. I haven't put enough study into that. And most of those years that I've been, quote unquote, studying anime, I haven't really been studying it. I've just been looking at it. I've been looking at it and thinking about it. I haven't really been deconstructing it and figuring out how to make that happen. So that's something that I need to work on. I was working on the hair last week. This week, I wanted to take a closer look at eyes. And I'm going to do a lot of just like study rather than just like straight up drawing. And I have here 20 different anime eyes, and these are all like different girls, you know. I mean, we've got up here, we've got Makioze from Fire Force, and then we've got Akari Koda from Girls High. We've got Jakuzure Nonon from Kill la Kill. We've got Rory Mercury from Gate. This is Suzuki Akiho from Parasite the Maxim. Here's Tamaki Katatsu. Yeah, that's it. Tamaki Katatsu, again from Fire Force. This is Usumi from Infinite Stratos? I think? Maybe? No, this is Mayochiki. Why did I get that confused with Infinite Stratos? That makes no sense. And then here we've got... this is, God, who is that? That's Morrigan from Tears to Tiara. I haven't watched that in forever. This is Renka Ma from Kenichi the Mightiest Disciple. Hazuki from Moon Phase. Tsukuyomi. This is Haruhi Suzumiya. Here's Kyoko from Full Metal Panic. This is Astolfo, who doesn't recognize Astolfo. Chika from Love is War. Rushia, Hololive VTuber. Gura, Hololive VTuber. This is the gold standard of anime eyes. These are the most beautiful eyes I have ever seen. I despair of ever being able to do anything that pretty. Especially just the subtle shading in the eyelash. That's, oh my God, that's so nice. So very, very nice. Then over here we've got Megamin from Konosuba. This is Akazawa from Another. This is Charlotte. And this is Konazuki Aaron from Trinity 7. So we've got these 20 different anime eyes that are just from all different kinds of artists. And some of these in particular, this one, and this one are fan art and not official art. So that's a thing. And one of the things I wanted to point out was some of these eyes are really, really clean. Hazuki's eye is incredibly clean and sharp. And you see the same kind of thing over here on Jakuzure Nonon's eye. But you can see kind of the elements that go into the eye. You've got the bottom lid. You have this open area around this. This has to do... There's a visual language to anime eyes, and the amount of open space you leave around an eye, like here you see in Makioze's case, very nearly all of the space around the bottom and sides of the eye is just open. There's nothing there. This indicates emotional openness, okay? And as you get like more and more closed off characters, like you see here with Rory Mercury. Rory Mercury is detached from humanity. She's been alive for thousands of years. She's been alive for hundreds of years. And at 1,000 years, she's going to ascend and become a goddess. Much of her eye is closed off. Same thing over here with Morgan. Morgan from Tears to Tiara has got most of her eye closed off because she's a warrior woman. She's not an emotionally available person. It's same thing you see here with Usumi. Usumi has some emotional availability here on the inside, but she's more closed off on the outside. Here on Tamaki Katatsu, you can see that there's this wide open area over here. Here on Suzuki Akiho, not a lot closed off. Over here, Renkama is almost completely closed off. She's all about training. She's all about the Kung Fu. Here in Hazuki, you see that she's got a substantial amount of openness around the eye. Haruhi Suzumiya, substantial amount of openness around the eye. Kyoko, substantial amount of openness on the inside, but not on the outside. Okay? Here on Chika, it's open all the way across, but you've got these lashes down here on the bottom. Now, lashes, I've been looking at this for a while, and something that I've kind of sort of noticed is that lashes on anime characters tend to indicate sexual availability, okay? The more and longer lashes you give a character, the more appropriate it is to harbor sexual intentions toward that character. You can see here that Makiose, an adult woman, has lashes both on the top and on the bottom. Same thing with Tamaki Katatsu, who, again, adult woman. But over here, Hazuki is purely smooth and straight. There's absolutely no evidence of lashes on the top or on the bottom. Hazuki is basically a child. I mean, she's a vampire and hundreds of years old, but effectively a child. You see the same thing over here with Gura, okay? Gura's lashes are perfectly smooth. There's no evidence of eyelashes, okay? She's not an appropriate target of sexual desire. That's what that's supposed to communicate. As far as I can tell, Suzuki Akiho, she's a teenager, but she is a romantic interest for the protagonist. And the same thing over here with Usumi. And Usumi has this kind of triple eyelash up here. And these lashes indicate the propriety of sexual desire. At least they seem to, okay? If you're not supposed to find somebody sexually attractive or appealing, like here with Chika, then they have these nice, smooth, no-lash looks. Same over here with Megumin. Megumin has no lashes, no evidence of lashes. Akazawa, on the other hand, being an older teenager, does have lashes. And there's a slight complication here because the lashes don't always indicate sexual availability. Sometimes they just indicate a general predatory nature, a kind of a femme fatale thing. The Japanese don't typically equate sex with violence or with aggression or with being predatory, but the eyelashes sometimes do go with a predatory or aggressive woman. And I find that interesting. You've also got, of course, the shape of the eye. Like here, Charlotte has no lashes. You're not supposed to think Charlotte is sexy. And she also has a very kind of narrow, boxy eye, all right? Whereas your more moe characters, okay? they have much rounder eyes. And you can see kind of the shape of that eye becomes more and more rounded as they're friendlier. And you can see here, this is an interesting one. Morrigan is an example of a character that that is closed off. You can see here, she's got much of that space around the eye closed off. And she's also got down here at the bottom, you see this wide, stark line. This stark line down here at the bottom, I frequently find that the stronger and longer this line is, the more this person is concealing their true feelings. And you see that over here, Rushia wears her heart on her sleeve, so she's got nothing there. Chica just has the little lashes. She tries, but she doesn't do a great job. Astolfo is not concealing much, but he's concealing a bit. Kyoko is trying to conceal her true feelings for the protagonist. She has a crush on a guy that she can't have. So there's a little bit of concealment there. And over here on Morgan, you can see there's this strong, straight concealment of feelings. And there's this closed-off sense around the eye. And that closed-off sense around the eye, Morgan's very guarded. She's a warrior woman, but she still has this kind of rounded thing right here. She's still feminine, okay? Whereas you look over here at Charlotte. Charlotte's very angular and closed off. There's a very stark line down at the bottom. It's very lowered. Akazawa as well. Akazawa has a very kind of narrowed eye. Gura is, well, she's a shark. She's a predator, so she has that kind of narrowed eye thing going on. Hazuki is a bit of a predator, but she's also got this very large, round eye. And that sort of roundness, as you look at the different eyes, these are all feminine eyes, obviously. Well, with the exception of Astolfo. I guess that's still a feminine eye, really. Konosuke Aaron is another good one to look at for the general closed-off nature. She's very kind of cool and calm, so she only has this one little bit right here that's closed off, and she doesn't have a lot of roundness to the eye. It's a very kudere sort of formation to the eye. But the core elements, and what I'm really looking for on this is the core elements. The core elements are, you got your eyebrow, okay? You got your eyelash. I don't have the eyebrows in most of these. You have the upper eyelid. This is what's called a double eyelid. I've talked about this a little bit in the photographs of eyelids. Okay, but the double eyelid is a fold at the top of the eyelid that Asians tend to think is very, very appealing. And you can see right here on Jakuzure Nonon's eye that we've got the double eyelid and the inner eyelid have roughly the same formation. They're almost the same shapes, and you can see this this little double eyelid thing that goes on. The more evident and obvious it is, I think this is trying to communicate that this person is especially beautiful. Because it's hard to get across in anime. All of the faces look pretty much the same, but putting that double eyelid in there is like, this person is supposed to be beautiful. And you can see here that, well, this being fan art here, okay, Jakuzure Nonon is given a particularly prominent and detailed double eyelid. So it's supposed to say, Jakuzure Nonon is really, really beautiful. That's the way I interpret that as communicating with the audience. It's trying to say, this is a beautiful person. This is not just a cute anime girl. This is a beautiful person. And you see that here with Akari Koda. You see that here with Maki Oze. You see that a little bit less with Tamaki Kotatsu. Up here with Suzuki Akiho. Down here with Usumi, I don't remember her last name, her family name rather. And down here with Morgan. And you can see that you just have these little bits here that are like, they're beautiful, but, you still want to kind of keep your distance. The same thing with Ruscio over here. Astolfo obviously is beautiful. But they're trying to kind of indicate a latent beauty. Well, I don't know if they're trying to indicate is the right way to say it. But I interpret this as typically meaning when you have kind of this short line up at the top. That is, this person is beautiful, but not overtly so. Okay, so it's like you have to look for the beauty. Whereas Suzuki Akiho's very broad and wide double eyelid. Same thing with Renka Ma's very strong double eyelid here. That's supposed to communicate this person is unbelievably beautiful. You look at this person, they're very, very beautiful. Makiose has, well, Makiose's features, I mean, you look at Makiose and you look at Tamaki Katatsu right back here on this picture on my back wall, they don't look that different, okay? But Makiose is a mature woman, and as a mature woman, she has a more quote-unquote beautiful appearance, whereas Tamaki Katatsu is more cute but moving toward beautiful. This is very complicated. You see right here, Kyoka. Kyoka is a beautiful young girl, but she's also got glasses. The whole Meganeko thing. There's a thing we say in the West, men don't make passes at girls who wear glasses. It's not true. Especially now, glasses have become more of a fashion statement than anything else. It used to be if you wore glasses, it was because you had bad eyes. Now, if you wear glasses, it has nothing to do with your eyes because you could get laser surgery, you could get contacts, there's all kinds of stuff that you could do. And wearing glasses is more a fashion statement than anything else. It's kind of being proud of who you are, being proud of your flaws, or being no nonsense. And that indicates different things. All of these various elements of the eyes are signaling devices. And that's a basic economic concept. It's something that doesn't actually mean something, but you can interpret it to mean that. And these are all the things I'm talking about here are signaling devices. Eyelashes do not make you more sexually available, but they appear to be used to communicate this within the context of anime. They don't actually have anything to do with that. Although, one of the reasons that women wear mascara and eyeliner and false eyelashes to make their eyelashes look longer and fuller and more bold is because there was a kind of old wives' tale or rumor that went around in the 16th and 17th centuries that having sex made women's eyelashes fall out. I don't know where the fuck this thing came from. I don't know the logic behind it, but this idea is spread like wildfire, and everybody's just like, oh, well, if a woman has like sparse eyelashes or small eyelashes, she's a whore. And women went, I'm not a whore, and they started just like doing any fucking thing to make it obvious. No, see, look, I have really big, long eyelashes and lots of them. This was probably started by some company that manufactured makeup. I mean, that's typically the way things go. It's just like if you've seen these commercials for the buy this shit to shave your balls. You don't need to shave your balls. You don't. If you're at the point in a relationship that somebody's looking at your balls, they don't care about the hair. By the time you get here, not a fucking issue, all right? If it is an issue, then this is a shallow bullshit hookup and you should be looking for something more permanent anyway. It's just, what kind of shallow person is going to go, ew, you're too hairy? Seriously? You want to fuck that person? No, you don't. Don't do that. Just like, thanks a lot and see ya. I do not understand the rampant courting of relationships with shallow people. You don't want to fuck those people. You don't even want to be in the same room with those people. Forget them. Go to a club. Find some place with a lot of black lights. Then they can't tell how much hair you got. Not even on their fucking radar. Couldn't tell if they wanted to. Unless you get like fluorescent hair dye. That's fun. Try that sometime. Yeah, dyeing your bush is something that I have not done in many, many years. Anyway, I was getting at something. Oh yeah. The elements of this. You can see that there are different elements depending on the type of anime you're looking at, the type of person you're looking at. And you can see, like right here, there's not a dark pupil in Morrigan's eye. Okay, there's not a dark pupil over here in Rory Mercury's eye. There's a dark pupil in Nonon's eye, and it's very wide. Okay. You have an even wider one in Akarikota's eye over here. Again, very, very dark. And you see this kind of, there's a dark upper area and a lighter lower area. But Hazuki's eye in particular, this interests me because she's got a dark circle with an offset lighter circle, and it's the same construction for the pupil. It's just a little bit darker. Here on Suzuki Akiho's eye, you can see that we've got a semi-realistic sort of structure where we've got light and dark with a highlight and a very strong outer ring. Also, I love that Suzuki Akiho just has plain old brown eyes. I love that. I really do, because you don't see that very often. You know, you don't see like just plain brown eyes. Same thing with Kyoka down here from Full Metal Panic. And you can see there's a slightly different highlighting pattern going on there. But there's always this kind of dark on the top, light on the bottom structure. You've got a lot of differences based on the artist. You've got a lot of differences based on the anime. Got a lot of differences based on just plain style. So, if I were to go from jump on something, let me turn some of these off. Let me create a new layer folder, which I'll put inside of the eyes. I'm going to label this left. And I'm going to go, okay, so I got Makiose, Kota Akari, Chikosuri Nonon, Rory Mercury, Suzuki Akiho, Tamaki Katatsu, Usumi Morrigan. Okay, that's the left there. And then all of the rest would obviously be on the right, wouldn't they? You know, layer folder. That down here, we'll call this right. Just an eye. And we'll just take all of that and drag it on in there. And now we can turn all of the eyes on the right off. So, okay, now, if I were to go with just line art, we need first of all, we need an upper eyelash. And the upper eyelash, the arch of it has something to do with the personality. You get more moe with a higher arch. And then we want that to kind of come down part way, but we don't want it to come down too far. And then that wants to sweep up over there. Sweep back around here. And I should be able to just fill that. And there we go. And let's add some eyelashes because we want this to be a sexy girl. Now we want to leave a substantial amount of openness here, and we just want to do kind of a thing there. Let's do a short double eyelid up top. There we go. Now remember, inside of the eye socket, the eye is a perfect round shape. So you want your double eyelid to kind of sort of approximate that part of the shape. There we go. And now we want some part of the upper iris to be up underneath of the eyelash. I'm going to duplicate this layer, and I'm going to name that eyelash. And then I'm going to come down here to the line art layer. I'm going to delete that, and we're going to have that there for the line art. I'm going to kind of rough in. Boy, let me come up here to the sketch. We'll go. Here's kind of the shape of the eye right there. Yeah, this bottom bit. But let's take another look at the shape of the eye. Shape of the eye is going to be kind of like this. Let's try that again. And if the shape of the eye is like that, like that. That's about right. There we go. Now, if the shape of the eye is about like that, then here on our line art level, we want our iris to be about there. So that'll be the outer edge of the iris. And now on the inside, you know what? No, that needs to be larger, like so. There. That's about right. We'll need a pupil here in the middle of that. Well, that didn't go well. I suppose that's kind of important there. And get that top sealed off. Kind of get that in there. Now, at this point, I need to start thinking along the lines of how I want to do highlight. I want it less pronounced. Actually, let's do kind of a So kind of a triple thing there. Okay, so get that in there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to my color layer, and I'm going to pick a color. I would like to do kind of a brown. Yeah, that's about right. Kind of a soft brown color. I'm going to kind of go around the edge here. And around the edge here. Just kind of circle around it and do the outline. Once I've got the outline, I'll bucket fill. Clean that up. And I got something there. We need to do the white. The white should not be pure white. So we'll come around here. Come around up here. Sure that's all closed in there. I'll go to the bucket, fill that in. I'll raise that up. Clean up the interior space. Let's turn that off so we can get a better look at clean these edges. Alright. Let's clean that up a bit. And that looks pretty good. Now, at this point, I want to take this space right here. I'm going to create a brand new layer, and I'm going to go on top of this. And I'm going to, first of all, go back to regular. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to switch this over to, I'll switch this to multiply. That's what I want to do up top, up here. Well, undid the multiply bit. Stick that in there. And now I'm going to try something. There. I'm going to switch over to the blending tool here. I'm going to try to blend that down. Turn off that. Kind of a okay. All right, that's getting us somewhere. Now we want to do some highlights. So we're going to do a new layer, and we're going to leave this in normal mode, and we're going to 100%. Oh, I'm in blending mode. Let me go back to brush. Well, that didn't work so well. This needs to go up over the line art for the pupil. So we're gonna go. There's kind of that highlight, and we're going to do a slightly smaller highlight here, a much smaller highlight there. And then down here, I kind of like how they did this on Kyoka's Eye, where they have the little highlights here. Now if I come out on that, that's actually don't like the look of this highlight here. That's not bad. That's yeah, that ends up looking pretty good in terms of that's gonna look in the end. Let me select all of these. Then I'll rectangle select it, and I'll Control C. And I'll take this over to my model conversion, and I'll zoom in here. This is a terrible idea. So take all of this, and we're going to put all of this into a new folder, and we're going to take this, and we're going to go, okay, we're going to move this, and we're going to drop the size down. Let's see how this looks when I put this on the vase. Oh dear God, that's awful! It needs to go up higher, like so. Yeah, this isn't going to look well, and this isn't going to look good right there. Edit, transform, flip horizontal, there we go. That will give us a better idea of what we're looking at. Make that a bit bigger. Okay. And underneath of this, down here in notes, let's create a new layer there, and we'll take that new layer right here. We'll sample the skin color. And we'll go brush, sample the skin color. Let's wipe that out and see what we got now. So, yeah, that's significantly better. Still think, that needs to move up somewhat. Open notes. Now, if I cover that up, if I take no, let's not use that. Let's you know what? Let me just make a new layer to cover that up. I'm gonna marquee, and in that marquee, I'm going to grab a random color. I'm going to go to the paint bucket. And we're gonna grab this and move it over here. And that's a significant improvement. That's actually a really large improvement, although I think I take this and okay. I think I should make this a bit bigger. There we go. And as you can see, even at this resolution, there are some minor imperfections when you zoom in. Okay, but these imperfections in the eye, they really just disappear completely when you zoom out. And on top of that, if we come out here to the sprite mask, okay, the sprite mask exists so that I can create a selection from the layer. And now I have the appropriate selection to clip everything out. And at this point, I can just I can grab literally all of the layers. Hold on a minute here. Grump. Great selection. I can now, at this point, select literally all of the layers. I can copy, and I can now make a new sprite from that particular size there. And I can just resize this down to the size that I use in the game. And once that's resized down, you know, you've got the new, that highlight's in the wrong place. The highlights are all fucked up. Yeah. That's why that looks off. Okay. I can fix that. But yeah, that's a much better eye. And I'm gonna have to. I need to do better eyes for my characters, and I also need to do better eyebrows and better features in general. And it's just a question of there are all of these different elements, you know, and each of these elements needs a certain amount of attention, and it needs a certain amount of effort to make it actually look good. And you don't have to get everything perfect every time. This is something that I'm having to teach myself. I'm not just like telling you guys this. A lot of the stuff that I say is just like, this is stuff I need to know. This is stuff I'm figuring out that I need to know. And one of the things that I really, really need to figure out on this is I need to remember that artwork is iterative. From the original artwork isn't done as soon as you have something that you've saved. You can and should go back to your artwork later and improve it and fix it. And I've kind of gotten to the point. I've been playing Groping Festival a lot lately. Just kind of looking at, and I got kind of tired of looking at this crappy sprite. I need to do a better job on the sprite. And clearly I can. I just need to buckle in and do it. That's all. So, yeah. And that's about where I'm going to leave the stream this week. So, yeah, we'll talk some more about something or other next week. We'll probably talk about shading and wrinkles and clothes. Bum number one has been asking me to talk about that. He's been saying that I should talk about it. And I'm really bad at it. I mean, I have some knowledge about it. And I do also... I have Hogarth's book on the subject, which is pretty much all you need, in my opinion. If you have Hogarth's book, you're in good shape. And I have some other bits and pieces, some other studies on that. So that's something I may get into that next week. And I know I'm supposed to do like all of these discussions on copyright, and it's become more and more extensive as I thought about it, because you've got copyright as it relates to mods, and then you have the general idea of inflated expectations from consumers, and then you have the just general arrogance from developers, and then you have a lot of people don't think about the management end of this, and I want to talk about that somewhat. So, because as a longtime software developer and software project manager and QA lead, I have insight into these particular areas that a lot of people don't have. And there are problems in them, problems that have never been effectively addressed because we don't know of any way to effectively address them. They're not process problems, and they're not engineering problems. They're people problems. And they come to a large extent from people being dicks. And, I talk a lot about the fundamental issue that people are stupid and weak. And sometimes people get mad at me for that, but it's a fact. People are stupid and people are weak, and that very much is a thing that people have trouble with. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And do I want to save this? Well, I can just turn that off and turn that off. Turn that on. But turn that on and just kind of flop the eye right there. Better position for the eye. That eye's in the wrong place. Okay, so yeah, these can improve, and they should improve. And okay, so yeah, that's new eye, and the notes are already off. We'll turn off the new eye, and we'll go ahead and save that. There we go. And anyway, that's more or less where I want to leave things tonight. I do want to get to those copyright videos. I just haven't gotten to them yet. There's a lot of work on them, because I have to figure out what I'm covering and what I'm not covering. And then on top of that, Skyrim Anniversary Edition is out, and in addition to Skyrim Anniversary Edition being out, the GTA trilogy is out, the definitive edition. That's one of the reasons I wanted to come out and talk about mods as a whole thing. People are really mad about the GTA definitive edition, and I think it's kind of retarded. So I basically wanted to tell these people, shut the fuck up. It's a lot of people. It's like here are these games that have been around for years and years and years, and everybody's they've pulled the games from sale. Yeah, the old ones, the original, like GTA 3 and GTA Vice City and GTA San Andreas, those were pulled from sale. Everybody's like, no, they pulled them from sale. Why don't you already own them? I mean, seriously. And then they come out with the definitive edition, and all these people are like, I'm not going to buy it. And then they buy it anyway, and they complain about it. And it's fucking ridiculous. It really is how upset people are about all this sort of stuff. And I've also been I've been dicking around in the Skyrim creation kit a little bit, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I gotta go and look into some stuff, because there's a few things that I want to check. There's not like, I don't necessarily want to change anything. I just want to I want to look at what some variables are, because they don't seem to be behaving properly. And yeah, that's a thing I've been missing. Anyway, you don't care about that. It's kind of that's pretty much that's the stream. That's the stream this week. So that's again, Paige from Holly Brown. Okay,